Welcome back to That Dad Guy. It's July 21st, 2023, and it's Friday, so I am going to show you what has arrived in the mailbox this week, and it's a lot of stuff. All this stuff showed up, and quite a few official cards from Postcrossing, so that's what I'm going to start with. So if you want to subscribe, like, and comment, that would be wonderful, and even share it with other people you know. Let's get started. Official Postcrossing ones to begin with. All right, this first one is a fantastic rural mailbox scene. This comes from Finland. It is written in French, so she says that she's an expatriate from France who's now living in Finland, has been in Finland since 2018, and thought that I might like this typical rural Finnish scene that you see here. And she says the stamp is a Finnish artist. And there's something extra special about this stamp, and I'm going to get to that when we get to the next card too. But the artist is Albert Edfeldt, who's a Finnish painter, and the stamp is called, or the artwork is called Gardens of Luxembourg in Paris, which was painted in 1887. And this comes from Alice. So thank you, Alice. You can see the stamp there. Actually, let me show you a little up close. Because this card showed up this week too, and had this stamp been on this card, it would have been a maxi card. So Alice sent me this rural mailbox scene with the stamp, and Enna from Finland sent me this postcard which matches that stamp, and she said sorry that she only had artwork cards. I don't mind. I like artwork cards, especially cards that come from the country that they're being sent from, because I'm getting a chance to learn. I didn't know about Albert Edfeldt, who is a Finnish painter. I didn't know about this painting until I got the information from this card. So it all works together, and it's amazing how it's worked this week, because both these cards arrived this week. So thank you, Edna, for this card. I'm going to show the stamp that she put. She didn't put the maxi card one. She put this beautiful winter scene, and 32 degrees here. It's not feeling like winter, and I'm enjoying the heat and the garden the way it is as much as I can, because winter will be coming in another, well, hopefully not for another 5 or 6 months, but it's coming eventually, unfortunately. All right, so thank you for those cards. Love them, and I love that they kind of went together. But it wasn't the last finished card that I had. I had another mailbox scene one. This one showed up, and this says that it is from the Postal Museum, and this comes from Anita, and she says she's a member of the Finnish Postcrossing and Friends. I hadn't heard of that, so I'll have to look it up. But what's really cool about this one from Anita is the stamp. Now, about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, I updated my profile and I put that I would like F1 themed cards, if you can, or F1 themed stamps in this case, because my daughter is big into F1 racing, and I thought maybe she'd enjoy it. She actually said, why don't you ask people for F1 cards? I said, well, I can't really ask for it, but I will put it in my profile. If someone wants to send it, they can. I did get one from Media a long time ago of F1 driver, a Finnish F1 driver. So I do have one card that I could show her that has that. And Lewis in Dubai sent me an F1 card too from the race in Abu Dhabi. So those are 2 F1 cards that I already had. But this stamp is super cool. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So that comes from Anita, and her and her husband live in the middle point of Finland, where there's about 36,000 people. So thank you, Anita, for that. And I'm going to look up Finnish Postcrossing Friends and find out more about it, because I know some people in Finland now. All right, this next card comes from Taiwan. We have a duck card. It comes from Jerry, and Jerry collects stamps, and he loves meeting people from around the world. So postcrossing is a good way to do that. There are the stamps. So thank you, Jerry. This next card comes from the United States. It actually comes from Massachusetts, so not very far away from me. This is the home of Ralph Waldo Emerson in Concord, Massachusetts. And the person that sent it didn't sign it, but did say this comes from the nearest. This is one of the nearest cards to me that he's ever sent. So I wonder if that means this location is close to where he lives, or sending a card to me in New Brunswick is the closest he's ever sent from Massachusetts, because it's not very far away. But either way, I'm glad to receive it. There are the stamps. So we've got one of the new endangered birds stamps from the United States, and then we've got a couple of the older stamps there to make it out. So thank you so much for that. This next card comes from Belarus. Here's another mailman delivering card. People know how much I like cards that have to do with the postal system, because I work for the post office, and mailman cards especially ones like this are fantastic. She says she likes to show her cards just like I like to show my cards, as I'm doing now. But one thing that she did was she included, and she is Victoria. Victoria sent the latest Belarusian stamp. These kids playing. It's beautiful. It's big. When you look at it compared to that stamp, it's a pretty big stamp. Sometimes you need perspective on what they look like. And so thank you, Victoria, for that. Hopefully you are doing well. If I had to pick a favorite, I won't, but this one's way up there because of the stamp, the combination of the two. I mean, I've had lots of really cool ones early on that I've shown you, but that one's really neat. All right, this next card comes from Japan. And it's almost a bit of a homemade card, which I don't mind, but taking some beautiful stickers and put it on top of this card to create the collage that she has. And this comes from Yokohama near Tokyo, where Mariko sent this card. And there on the back is the stamp. So thank you, Mariko, for this. And the interesting thing about this one, it had a question in it. It says, how is the situation of Russia and COVID-19 in your place? So kind of a political question to go in there. I'm certainly not going to answer it on this, but well, I'm going to say that things are relatively normal with COVID-19 here. Let's do answer it. Why not? All right, Mariko, if you've seen this video, you'll get this answer. Also, I sent you a message. And then things with Russia, certainly we hope that the war in Ukraine comes to an end, and the Ukrainian people get their country back and can stabilize again. And we can, as postcrossers here in Canada and the United States, be able to send mail again to Russia and to people that maybe have been affected that way too. And then other than that, the only thing we're really noticing is prices of some things are a little bit higher now because of this ongoing war. So we are very fortunate here in Canada to not feel major impacts by it, but we do feel it in our hearts, and we hope that everybody in the Ukraine is safe, and that they get to have peace again and get their democratically independent country back in its entirety. So there you go. There's my political rant for right now. All right, next card comes from the United States. This one comes from Maine, so the state right next door to mine here in New Brunswick. And he says that gives me a bit of history. I didn't know this. Down east, we talk about down east all the time. If you're from this area of the world, we say, yeah, we live down east, meaning we live in the eastern part of the Canada in North America. Same thing in Maine. They call themselves down easters. And where that comes from, it says one of the most asked questions of Maine tourists is how it has to do with the term down east. It would seem, in so much as Maine is north of the rest of the country, down is a contradiction of terms. In early times, it turned out that the state was generally reached from Boston and other points by sailing vessels. Since the prevailing winds in westerly travelers sailed downwind to Maine, creating the local term going down to Maine or down east. That's where it comes from. So it probably is a sailing term as well for us. And it's also geography-wise. So if we're talking about other parts of Canada, we live down east because we're in the eastern part of the country. But yeah, going down east. So thank you for that. Thank you for the bit of history that's there. Forever stamp that's on the corner. I appreciate it. And this comes from Josh. Not Josh. The last official one that I have also comes from the United States, and it is this one here from Betsy. And Betsy is in Georgia, and she is finding it very hot at 97 degrees when she sent this. and she's in the northwest corner of Savannah. And Savannah was founded in 1733, but her town did not become a city until 1907. So there you have it. And this here that we're looking at is the General Lewis E. Lyle Rotund. And in 1983, the Major General Lee Lyle, B-17 veteran of World War II, combat of missions, initiated a planning for a museum to honor the greatest air armada the world has ever seen. Today, the museum pays homage to the tens of thousands who sacrificed in this effort. There we go. We have an aviation museum. There are the stamps. So thank you, Betsy, for that. All right, let's set those aside. Let's get into some official ones and some surprise ones. First, we're going to start with this surprise one, these hedgehogs. This comes from Vera. Vera is in Germany, and she says she's been watching my, she's a recent subscriber, been watching on YouTube, and she contacted me for participating in a forum of activities called the wish list tag. Now, I did quickly go see it, Vera, if you're watching, and I'm not sure I'm going to participate. I don't know, it might be added stuff for me to do. I don't really have a wish list either of things that I'm looking for, but I like the idea, and I may speak more about that idea if I can get more information on it, because it could be fun for other people to do as well. I'm not saying I won't do it, but right now I'm not, because I think my plate is full with other things, and the cost of sending more postcards out might be a bit too much. But I like that you're subscribed, so thank you, and thank you for inviting me to participate in something else. I will think about it though. And then she asked me a couple questions. Says, how often do you check your mailbox? Well, this week I actually went to my P.O. box 3 times, just because it's inconvenient area to where my daughter works. So sometimes if I'm there early to pick her up, I run in, or at one point we were going to another destination, was driving right by it, so I stopped and picked it up. Generally, every Friday for sure I go, just to make sure I have all the postcards that have sent to me this week. But sometimes I go like on a Tuesday or Wednesday too, to get half the mail out, so the mailbox doesn't get too full, and that I can register cards more quickly for people too, so they're not waiting for them. So that's what I do. She also asked if I've ever been to Legoland in Denmark or Germany. I have not. I've been to Legoland in Florida, and that's the only Legoland I've been to. There is one in New York State now, apparently. But yeah, one day, Denmark for sure. I'd love to go to the Lego house and go to the head office. That would be amazing. She says she has one only about 30 minutes away from her. So very fortunate. Now there are some things that are very kid oriented. So as an adult, going to those activities maybe not as looked upon, especially now that my kids are all grown up. They're not likely to go on any of those rides anymore. So I was fortunate enough to be able to go on them when they were younger. It says, what's the latest finished Lego object that I've made? Well, I've made some Lego minifigures that I've shown you, and we've worked on some Lego flowers. So those are probably the latest things that I've worked on, but I still have lots more I should do. All right, moving on. This next card comes from Bob in Ontario, and he said his friend made this cartoon of him, but he thought it looked a little bit like me. So yeah, I can see a resemblance. I can see that either this could be some guy mailing a letter through Canada Post, or it could be a mailman mailing a letter. It could be me. I have a little less hair up there than that, but I do have the goatee. So it is a cool image, and Bob said that he'd send me the image too in case I ever wanted to use it somewhere else in my my videos. And then he has sent the Denny Arcane stamp on there that never got canceled. So thank you, Bob. This next one, all right, we'll get into this. We're going to do a little heavy subject again real quick here. We've touched on it briefly, but this card comes from Yulia. She lives in Odessa in the Ukraine, and periodically she gets to send me cards, which I'm very happy to receive. They kind of tell me what's going on in her world. So she says, greetings from Odessa, Ukraine. On this postcard, you will see the Cortesia Islands. There is how it's spelt out, so if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, you can see what it is. This is a fortress in the photo, was built in 1552 by the Volyn prince, Dmytro Vereshensky. In 1775, Catherine II wildly eliminated the last of it as a result of the tragedy of the Cossacks, lost everything. And then she says, Russia has always destroyed everything. Ukrainians, all the Ukrainian history and the culture. On June 6, 2023, Russian troops blew up the dam that was a hydroelectric dam power plant station that supplied the south of Ukraine with fresh water and electricity. In more than 40 settlements, lives are broken. Towns and villages were completely submerged. Now the reservoir has become shallow. Yesterday in her city, Odessa, Russia, killed 3 people. Russian forces attacked Odessa with missiles and drones. 26 people received injuries. And then this card was sent on June 11th, 2023. And she says it's been 473 days of the war. All the best, Yulia. Yeah, all the best. She is like my inside reporter, which is fantastic. I hope that she's okay, as well as I've been able to send messages back and forth through Instagram with her. Recently, she had to go to a shelter because they were under attack again. But my most recent conversation with her, she is okay. She's back in her home. One of her places she used to work was destroyed, but her and her family are okay so far. There, she's included some beautiful stamps. Always like to get stamps from her as well. So thank you, Yulia, for keeping us apprised of what's going on in Odessa. I know I have some other people that I keep in contact with too that are in Ukraine, and yeah, it's pretty tense still there. So people don't forget that it's still going on. I know sometimes it gets put on the back burner that something else might come up in political history that we want to talk about, but we're not forgetting about the Ukraine, that's for sure. All right, the next card I have is this one here. And this comes from Tara, who was at the meetup that I was at in Fredericton. So she just says, thanks for inviting me to the Postcrossing meetup. So what I did getting ready for the meetup was I sent out invitations, which means I could send 10 at a time, 10 messages through the Postcrossing website to people that were active in New Brunswick as postcrossers. And Tara was one of the people that I randomly got a hold of and said, hey, we're having this meetup. And she showed up. So I appreciate that. And then I appreciate that she sent me a card. Lots of cool artwork on there, washi tape. Yeah, she's done a really good job. I appreciate that. So thank you, Tara. Quick cough break. All right, this next card comes from Media in Finland, and she was off on a trip, and so she sent me this card when she was away with that stamp. It's pretty nice. But while she was in this region, she also did a canal cruise. So she sent me this card too. And that's the boat they went on. You can see the size of the canal and where she went. So she had an interesting day and the weather was great for it. So wonderful, wonderful. There are the stamps. Extra coffee just for you so you can enjoy it. But thank you, Media, for sending me those cards of your trip away. All right, this next card comes from Michelle in the UK. And every month we've been doing something different for each other. The month of July, we said, let's send a piece of food product or something that you might get in your country. So I sent her the side of a box of Timbit donuts. And she wasn't sure if Toffee Fay was in Canada. It is in Canada, but we don't have white chocolate Toffee Fay. So I was glad to see this. And then on the back, here are the stamps, including the Blackadder stamp. Very cool. So thank you, Michelle. Always interesting, the different things we've come up with. All right, this next card comes from Erin in Colorado. And here are a bunch of things you might find in your garden. And yeah, she's about to hit 200-cent postcards. So congratulations. Every time we hit one of those milestones, you know you get to send a bit more mail out to people, so it makes the hobby more and more interesting. There are the stamps. And then Erin sent me this card. We've got 2 wolves. She said it's kind of like a maxi card because on the endangered species stamps that have come out, there was wolves. So she's trying to create a little bit of a maxi card out of it. This card was sent July the 3rd, so it's taken a little bit of time. And this one which I got first. It was sent July the 8th, so got here the same week, but 5 days apart and different. So thank you, Aaron, for both of those. Now this next card just showed up today. This one comes from Judy in Florida. So you can see the flag of the United States, but in 1776. There's been some changes since then. The Union Jack, or part of the Union Jack, is no longer there, and that's where the 50 stars are now instead. What's really cool about the back is that she's just covered it in stamps. She put her name on it, and then she did a series of stamps, including a matching stamp to the card. So it is a maxi card. So thank you, Judy. I always appreciate it when you send me stamps and things that I can talk about. All right, this next card is, it's really cool. I know I use that term more than enough. Very interesting. It's a hamburger, and it's shaped like a hamburger, so it's got all sorts of different edges to it. You've got all the fixings on this double patty burger. This comes from Katja in Sweden, and she's getting ready, or at the time that she sent this, the 10th of July, getting ready for 4 weeks vacation. So that would be nice to have all that time off. So I hope she gets to enjoy it. And happy birthday to her son, who is turning 12 tomorrow. Yes. And on the back, there are the stamps, lest I forget. Thank you, Katja. All right, this next card comes from Hans in Germany. And it says, greetings from the tiny island of Helgoland in Germany. It's on the high seas. It's the only high seas island about 50 kilometers from the European continent, located lonely in the North Sea. Just about 1,300 people live here. And what's also interesting about this is it has a stamp as well. So yeah, it doesn't match the card, but it is from the same region. It is a new stamp of Helgoland. So thank you, Hans. That's cool. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, this next card comes from Robert in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And this is from a Postcrossing meetup that was in his town, his hometown, I should say. So on the back, you can see all the people that attended. His stamp is there, and his wife's stamp's there, because they're both postcrossers. So I like that too, that they're both active in this hobby. All right, my next card, actually not for me, it was destined for my daughter. So this one comes from Lewis in Dubai, and he sent a Marvel card, because my daughter is big into Marvel as well as F1. So we have some Spider-Man stuff going on there. She's gone out and seen the new movie already. I haven't seen it yet, but she did. And look at the money stamp that came out. So thank you, Lewis, for that. And Lewis sent another one. He was in Abu Dhabi visiting a friend, and so he found this card at the post office. Some people just hanging out and inviting you to come to Abu Dhabi to visit as well. And here are the stamps. And we've got a camel sticker on there. And it was 41 degrees. 42 on the other one when he was in Dubai. Hot, hot, hot. We think when it's 32 or 36 here, it's hot. I would think it's even hotter there. All right. This next card comes from Kyler in Prince Edward Island, and it is getting ready for the Pride Week, or Pride festivities that they have in July. And Kyler put this older stamp. You can see it's shaped like the Canadian maple leaf, but it has the Pride logo on there. It came out for Canada's 150th birthday. So he said he was going to try to attend the parade in Charlottetown this year. So hope he has a good time at it. Kyler wasn't done. He sent this envelope, and you can see he took part of the commemorative sheet that came out for the ferries. There are 5 stamps that came out, and took a portion of it off. So that's really cool. But inside, he sent this. Surprise your friends with a jigsaw puzzle postcard. So there is the postcard. It needs to be assembled so I can read what it says on the back. So at the end of the video, I will assemble it and then shoot a picture to show you what it looks like completed. But I haven't yet put it together because I wanted to show you what it looked like in this form where it started. So he seems to always find great things, whether it's Japanese stamps, or he's helped at the stamp show with me, give me some more knowledge on how to collect things and how to look for this and that. So thank you, Kylie, for being a wealth of information. All right, the next one I have to show you is from Lila in the United States, in Maryland. She sent me a news article, and it's about mail delivery service in the Ukraine during the war. And so I'm going to do something else on this so you can actually hear the whole article, see the pictures that go along with it, because I think it's really an impressive story. And to know that it came from the newspaper, I may not have read it otherwise. I hadn't heard about it otherwise. So thank you, Lila, for photocopying that and sending it to me. So we're going to talk about that after. All right, the last thing I have is this parcel showed up. It comes from Paula in South Carolina. She watched one of my videos and then sent me a message and said, can I send you something? And I said, if you'd like, you can. So this is what she sent. So we're going to open it up and have a look inside. All right, so there is a letter, and we'll go through that after. There's some bubble wrap. There's some more bubble wrap and tape. And inside we have a Lego minifigure bag that has been taped up. This is the 100th anniversary Lego minifigures that came out for Disney. And inside, okay, give me 1 second here while I put this together. Even have some extra bits, I see. We have two characters that I didn't have before. So we've got Robin Hood, and we've got Cinderella, is it? With the, I was gonna say Snow White, but she's not dressed in white, so it's not Snow White. So I'm thinking Cinderella. You guys are gonna correct me and tell me exactly who it is, but there are two characters that I did not have from the 100th anniversary set. So that's great. Two more we can check off. Thank you, Paula, for that. And she even sent the extra pieces. There's a tail piece. That's kind of a cool piece to have. And then she sent an envelope. Which doesn't have any writing on it, so I can reuse the envelope for someone else. Okay, inside the envelope, we've got some stickers. Oh, well, this is kind of cool. This is Fundy National Park. This is the national park closest to me here in Canada. Visit Tatooine National Park. I don't know if that's a real park or not. I don't think so, because here's Endor Forest, the Star Wars. Kootenay National Park is definitely a national park out in British Columbia. To the north, so this could be representative of Canada. We have a nice hiking sticker. Up north, another Canadian type sticker. Some mountains. Mountains. Wild nature, be free. Is that enjoy nature, or is that a naturist for someone who's going around without any clothes on? Or maybe they're traveling in a VW bus. So those are some really cool stickers. I haven't seen those, and to have those ones, like especially the Fundy one, I'm definitely going to be using that to send out. All right, and then she sent some postcards too. So we have Charleston, South Carolina. Now my daughter's best friend and roommate in university is from South Carolina as well. So maybe she knows some of these places. There's Goose Creek, South Carolina, celebrating 50 years. So a new city. Fort Sumner. There's one I'd like to definitely see. Here, America's most momentous conflict, the Civil War, began in April 12th, 1861. So we've got that. That's Fort Sumter in Charleston. And then the Medal of Honor Museum, Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. This new interactive Congressional Medal of Honor Museum aboard the USS Yorkton features 4 exhibits, including the Wall of Honor, Combat Tunnel, Freedom Isn't Free, the Hall of Heroes. Through sounds, images, and materials, visitors come to understand how the ordinary Americans did the extraordinary in unimaginable circumstances. National Park in South Carolina, forming the southern boundary of Congaree National Park. The Congaree River is a lifeblood of the park. Nutrient-rich floodwaters enter the park several times a year, enriching the soil. This enables the champion-sized trees to thrive and support the park's biodiversity. Congaree National Park protects the largest remnant of old-growth floodplain forest in southeastern United States. The park is designated as an International Biosphere Reserve, Wilderness Area, National Natural Landmark, and globally important bird area. It is the first national park in South Carolina. That was a mouthful. Take a step back in time at the South Carolina Railroad Museum. There we go. We have another card from the Railroad Museum. First I thought they were the same, but they are not. So there you go, a bit of history about South Carolina. We could do a lot more on that for sure. Maybe one day I'll be able to travel and do videos and do it from different points too. That would be awesome. Especially if I could go to meet my friends that are showing up in different places around North America or around the world one day. We can only hope to see where this channel one day goes and what we can do. All right. That is the massive amount of stuff that I got this week. So thank you to everyone who has participated by either sending something in, sending a card in. My official Postcrossing ones has been fantastic. This Sunday I'm going to have a lot to write responding to people, and I think I've got quite a few official ones that I can send again this week. So I'll look forward to that. Now, tomorrow is That Dad Guy Answers, part 76 I think we're at now. So if you have a question for me, leave it in last Saturday's video and I will answer it tomorrow. And if you've already left me a question, then you'll get it answered tomorrow. I've had a few more cards arrive too for my July question that I asked about what is your favorite summer treat. So a few more of those cards have come in. If you haven't answered that yet and want to answer that, feel free to send me a postcard with your answer to that question. Just put like July question at the top or question 6 at the top, and write me what your summer treat is. You can send it to the address that's always listed in my videos, my P.O. Box. All right, that's it for this week. Have a magical week. What, Polo? You say like, subscribe, share, and tell all your friends?
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?